Soto is there. No, it's going to drop. Torres had to go out and get it. Bobby was running all the way, and he scores from first base on a bloop to right.
That's Bobby baseball right there.
Has struck out twice against Rodon. Rodon has 8 in 5 innings, and that ball is crushed to left field, and the Royals are back out in front. Hunter Renfroe hits his 13th, and that's the Royals' second home run tonight.
That's a big one right there. Another great swing by a right-handed hitter on a slider over the middle of the plate. Hunter Renfroe's bat is a sight for sore eyes in this Royals lineup.
Soto stares out at MacArthur. He has a 1-out walk, and the Yankees have 2 on, down by 1, and here's the captain. 1-0, grounded hard left side of the infield, through a base hit for Judge. It's an RBI single for Aaron Judge.
Fine.
There it goes! See ya! Into the bleachers, a 3-run blast, and the Yankees lead 7-4.
There are rookie catchers, and there's what Austin Wells is doing right now. That's a titanic 3-run blast to give the Yankees a 7-4 lead.
2-2, and the Royals are down to their final strike here in the 9th inning. Fly ball right field. Coming on Soto. And the Yankees win 10-4.
It's a bad day today, it's part of this game. They're coming to compete every day. They just leave one pitch in the middle and everything just changed. But they were doing a pretty good job, so everybody can have a bad day.
Good morning, Kansas City. This is New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll talk to Kansas head football coach Lance Leipold at 6:30. We'll have former Chiefs wide receiver Mark Boerichter in studio in the 7 o'clock hour. We'll talk to Andy Rogers, who covers the Royals for MLB.com at 8 o'clock. Then former Royals first baseman Eric Hosmer will be on the show at 8:30. And then at 9:05 in studio from NFL Network and NFL.com, Jeff Chadia to talk about the first week that was in the NFL.
All right, thank you, baby.
Well, I was wrong. I was wrong. Wrong. Wrong as could be. I've had fun telling you that I was right about the Royals acquiring Tommy Pham and some other things over the past couple of weeks. And so I need to tell you when I'm wrong. And I was wrong.
Well, just amendments need to be made once in a while.
No, I was wrong.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Oh, I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Somebody's outside the circle now?
Yeah. I invited reliever James MacArthur back into the circle of trust as far as pitching in high-leverage situations. And here I'm looking. So I follow Preston Farr at Royals Miners. Very good follow for any Royals fan. And he tweeted out last night, since June 1st, he had a 3.66 ERA in his last 15 appearances before yesterday. MacArthur had a 1.26 ERA, so he had pitched well. But he got blasted yesterday. Didn't record an out. 3 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk in a game where with just a handful of games left in the season at Yankee Stadium, high-profile game, big game, everything on the line, and blew it. So, so he was pitching well. He was, but you used him last night, and now I don't need to see that. I don't need to see that anymore.
With the knowledge you've been given, you are now on the inside of what I like to call circle of trust.
Out. Out. No more. No more. Okay. No more. No more from you, sir.
Circle of trust.
Like Chris Stratton, you can never use him in a high leverage situation. I'm not even sure when you can use him. I don't even know what the situation is that calls for Chris Stratton. I guess I don't know. Last night, but just no more. Stop that. That's all. I got fooled. He had pitched well enough over a decent enough stretch where I thought, okay, now you can trust him again. Now you can use, and when I say trust him, utilize him in a high leverage situation. Like last night. There's not enough time, there's not enough of these chances, there's not enough games to give him another shot now in a situation like that. Okay? That is what it is. And what's Mike Boddicker always say? And Mike Boddicker was right. He said, I don't trust him. But what does Mike Boddicker always say? You are what the back of your baseball card says. MacArthur's season ERA is 5.01. So, you can look at it a number of different ways, but the bottom line is, what's his ERA this year? 5.01. Okay? If you're looking to buy jeans, 5.01's great. Go get them. You ever wear 5.01s? 501 blues?
Levi, baby.
Some buttonfly 501's great. Okay? If you're looking for a reliever, 501's not great.
Some silver tabs.
You don't want that for a reliever. Jeans, yes. Reliever, no. And so I feel bad. I was wrong. Terrible. Look. Since August 5th, he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 straight outings without giving up a run. Gave up a run August 30th at Houston. And then had a couple of outings where he didn't give up a run. Pitched a clean inning with 2 strikeouts against Minnesota's last outing. And then comes in and just sets the game on fire. So, am I being too harsh? No more high leverage for you?
No, with only 17 games left.
That was disappointing.
Yeah.
That was disappointing.
Better now than in a really important game.
Yeah. And he's just, you can't, if
he kept going like he was and he fooled us, and then you get into some really big, say it's a postseason game, or say it's a game that puts you into the second or
let him do this now and
yeah.
not in the playoffs.
Thank you for revealing yourself now.
Singer with 5 innings, 92 pitches. He got through it. Long looked good. Hell, I'd have left Long in there to finish his second inning. He had pitched an inning in the third, only gave up a walk, a couple of strikeouts, 22 pitches. But then MacArthur comes in and just doesn't get anybody out. 3 hits, 4 runs, 1 walk, and the game's over. Salvi had a wonderful game, 4 for 4, hit a home run, 3 ribbies. We saw Bobby Wood Jr. scoring a blooper from first. That was fun. Renfroe hit a home run. Look, the Royals had a 4-3 lead in the 7th inning, and MacArthur came in and just and blew it. Now, they still could have lost. right? He didn't come in and blow it in the 9th inning, blew it in the 7th inning. But but damn, So that's the Royals still have an excellent chance of winning a game in the series because they have Lugo and Reagans coming up, and they still got a shot to win the series. You got Lugo and Reagans coming up. You got your 2 all-star pitchers. But no more MacArthur in high-leverage situations. If it's a blowout either way, let him go in there and eat some innings up. So, that's it.
No.
That's the big takeaway from the game last night. Unfortunate, frustrating, but you're right. At least he did this now and didn't decide to do this. I mean, can you imagine if he did this in a playoff game when the Royals are up 4-3 in the 7th inning? It would be awful.
No.
We don't need that. We don't want that. And now, hopefully, he won't be given the chance to do that. Right? Or do you go to him again in a high leverage situation?
No.
That circle of trust thing, that's mine.
I'm willing to listen.
No.
Clearly, I've been too reactionary with this. I was too quick to invite him back in.
I thought 9 scoreless. There.
I thought 9 scoreless outings in a row.
It's a quick hook. He was in. Now you're out. I don't think it's reactionary.
This in June.
Right. That's what I'm saying. There's 17 games left. These are precious games.
You got to. Hey, all I can do is judge you on what you do. And what did you do?
Well, Bodker got it right because we're in here talking about that, and he's like, nope, still don't trust him.
That's right.
I need to see more. It's like, how much more? He's like, a whole season of it.
Okay.
Fair enough.
All right. They're done. Go Royals. Bounce back. Anybody else want to say maybe they were wrong? Or was it just me? Anybody else have a little regret on what they've said?
Yeah, I was wrong about the Jets last night.
They didn't look good, Jake.
No,
I'm just going to be honest with you.
They didn't. But also,
they didn't look good.
49ers did look good, and
right.
I think that participates in that.
Well,
and
Christian McCaffrey didn't play.
He didn't, and that's the moment I placed the bet.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, no McCaffrey? But
no McCaffrey, no problem.
Right. But I did say, this could end up badly. That was definitely in the back of my mind, so I laid some money on Debo Samuel anytime touchdown just to cover my ass, which worked out. But what can we take away from week one? I'm not going to fully say I was completely wrong about the Jets because I wasn't impressed with anybody really out of the East. The Bills came back on the Cardinals, but I watched a lot of that game, and for a good portion of that game, the Cardinals had control, and they couldn't stop Kyler Murray. And then Kyler Murray kind of just showed who he was. But week one of the preseason has become, or week one of the NFL season has become the preseason.
Okay, here's the difference, all right? It's kind of similar, not the players, not the situation. It's similar to when the Chiefs traded for Joe Montana. They didn't bring Joe Montana in to win a wild card game. They brought Joe Montana in as a missing piece to get to the Super Bowl. Right? And he got him to the AFC Championship game, but didn't get him to the Super Bowl. So I still hesitate to call that a failure because he did get them over one hump, and that was getting to the AFC Championship game. And he provided us with, a great memory of the Monday Night Football game, the playoff wins over Pittsburgh and Houston. So he did get them over a certain hump.
And he wasn't he got knocked out of that game, so who knows?
Right. He did get them over a certain hump, but not the hump, okay? The Jets did not bring Aaron Rodgers in to win 9 games. They didn't bring him in to win a wild card game. This is a Super Bowl or bust kind of deal for him and for them. listening to what the big time Jets fans, Adam Sandler last night on the Manning cast, listening to Mike Greenberg. They had last night was because this is there's a window here, right?
Yeah.
And so this is going up against an elite team, a team that you have to beat. They're just not trying to be good. They're trying to win the East.
Yeah.
They're trying to go head-to-head with the Chiefs. They're not going head-to-head with the Chiefs.
They're not.
Okay, and so who's the other elite team that we feel really confident about being an elite? The 49ers. They were in the Super Bowl last year. That's an elite team. Now, and I think even though I'm not the biggest Mike Greenberg fan, he tweeted something that I agreed with. He goes, what Jets fans wanted to see last night was even if they didn't win, they wanted to see him go out there and trade punches with one of the elite teams in the NFL and show that they're in their weight class, and they didn't. And you leave that like, that's one game.
Yeah.
But the first test that failed.
Right. But the guy hadn't taken a snap since week 1 of last year.
That's why people have been hesitant to say that he's going to return to
that's
what
why
he was.
I think you look at how the Chiefs approach preseason and how other teams approach it, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday. Week 1's preseason. That's what it's become. That's what it's become. No one takes any.
He was 13 of 21 for 167 yards, a touchdown, and a pick.
Yeah, but he did make some throws that not a whole lot of guys in this league can make. And I still have hope that shaking off some rust. I think. Look, I don't ever really want to root for the Jets, but here I am.
Right. It might not work out for you.
I know, but look. I think anybody's in the Chiefs atmosphere, right? I don't, and so I think this team could still win the East and maybe win a playoff game in the first round of the playoffs. But no, they're not going to the Super Bowl.
I would still pick Buffalo to win the East.
And the point that Lebo made yesterday, I thought more about it. And after week 1, Josh Allen's hand is had X-rays and it's banged up, and he's going to have to carry that offense. Or they're going to need to make some changes and run the ball a little more, and he's going to have to not take as many hits as he usually takes. I don't disagree. I still.
And you dismiss Miami.
I do dismiss Miami.
All right.
I dismiss Tua. I watched how that team collapsed down the stretch last year and just turned the division over to the Bills at the end of the year, and I don't see it in Miami. Wild card team, maybe, but I think it's the Jets and the Bills. And I could be absolutely wrong about that, like I was absolutely wrong about last night. But I also think that there's something to be said about the fact that he didn't. It doesn't make any sense to me. How do you not take any preseason snaps? I don't get it, but whatever.
Because he's smarter than everyone else.
I don't. I think it was Saleh more than him, but
no, I'd have big questions about Robert Saleh at this point.
Yeah, that too.
Because it's not just Aaron Rodgers.
No,
I'd have big questions about him. So,
no.
Yep.
We'll see.
Hey, look, they could still be what you think they could be, but I think it's more on the table now. Like maybe they're just mid. Maybe they're just going to be an okay team.
Yeah, and I think you look at what the Bengals did too, and it's like there's a lot of question marks in the AFC right now, except for the Chiefs.
What? So what?
Right.
Good.
Right.
We'll take a break. Back after this on WHB. Now, hold on, Jake. So, what do I owe this honor to? One of my favorite songs in George Strait. Is there a reason?
No, it's just honor to you. And who doesn't like a little George Strait?
Maybe I thought maybe Coach requested this.
I know Coach likes Kenny Chesney, so
Okay,
I assume if you're a Chesney fan, you're probably a George Strait fan.
All right, then let's find out. Let's welcome our next guest, Kansas head football coach Lance Leipold, to the show. Coach, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing all right, guys. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for joining us. We always appreciate your time. And, Coach, before we get into the football and everything else, I know there was a lot on social media about a tweet that your wife said she was informed. She made a tweet last night. She was informed there was a post made supposedly from her account. It's not accurate. Let's all focus on helping our Jayhawks get back on the winning track Friday night. So I want to give you a chance to address that, and then we can move on.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, isn't that amazing? Today, I never thought when I became a head coach or got into this, that would be the first question in a radio interview. But we're at the office. We're a morning practice team, as you know, and somebody tells me it shows me some post. I reach out to my wife who was at practice, as she usually stops out, and she was at the press conference, and all of a sudden I'm asking her, and she's out power washing some of the stone on the house with her father, who's been and her parents stay with us for the first month of the season, and she's not answering her phone or doing anything. And it took me a while. She goes, "What are you talking about?" So she's kind of addressed it. It's unfortunate, with time to move on because we got a good football team here, but we appreciate everything this fan base has done. We need them there on Friday night and the rest of the season, but it's time to focus on football, hopefully, and we get ourselves back to that.
All right, well, let's talk about football. After a couple of days to reflect about the game in Illinois, and I watched your post-game press conference, and you said you wanted to get a chance to watch some film and to get a better read on what happened. What are your thoughts about maybe what went wrong for your team in Champaign?
Yeah, well, we didn't make enough plays, and they did. I think sometimes you get down to it. I like the physicality of the line, and what happens in these situations. Of course, when it's a game, you're expected to win and have chances to win, and you see it all across college football. Then there's you're opened up for criticism and second guessing, and we looked at it. Of course, we had too many turnovers. We didn't have enough explosive plays. They made more explosive plays. We had 2 penalties on the day, but they were 2 pretty. They were ones that hurt us. There's a little bit of this and that, and to me, sometimes the muff punt. Instead of pinning them inside the 5-yard line or recovering it inside the 5 or recovering it for a touchdown, they get the ball at the 20 was kind of like a way the night went. We had opportunities to make plays and we didn't, and they did, and they were, they had a nice environment. They've been geared for that game, and they responded, and we didn't quite respond back to the capabilities of us, and now it's. Now we're going to play another real good football team and get ready to go. But this is things that we've tried to talk about a long time, Stephen, is that, in college football and for the Kansas Jayhawks, our margin of error is still very, for error is very, very small. And we have chances to win a lot of games. And conversely, we if we don't come ready to play, we're going to end up a lot more disappointed than we ever imagined if we don't play to our capabilities.
All right, that was one of the questions I want to ask you because, Coach, I like to try to understand things, and that the muffed punt, and so them basically benefiting from it.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense, and that feels like someone should look at that. And I know it's not going to help you guys for what happened on Saturday, but down there, that it just doesn't make good sense. I mean, right? I got to it's amazing sometimes the text messages, besides how we opened this show, between texts and tweets that you get
after games. It can, especially ones after you lose sometimes. And I had a guy who does one of the national pregame shows text me about the muff punt, saying, "Yeah, it's kind of one of those rules you really wish should be looked at a little bit more." Yeah, and it's about advancing a punt, control, and all those things. And not only they recovered it, but and it's one that I've never dove into enough. It's kind of like if you touch the ball, if the punting team touches the ball but it doesn't come to a complete stop, the returning team has the option essentially to try to pick it up and go. But if they fumble it's still their ball. There's some odd rules there. Usually rules way back when have come because of some type of circumstance. But and that's it's make sure I clarify things. Is that wasn't a missed call. It was ruled correctly. But it could have been a touchdown for us, but unfortunately it wasn't. And so here we are, licking our wounds, but we turned the page because we're playing Friday night, and this team that's coming in is a team that felt they could have beat us in the bowl game. They're extremely explosive, a veteran team, and I think it's going to be a very exciting, challenging football game Friday night.
It is going to be a very good game right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB between Kansas and UNLV. And again, watching your press conference, I know when you were asked about officiating, you asked if a member of the media would be willing to go in for $5,000 for the fine. Coach,
I just want to clarify that I was joking.
Right? No, I
think the fine's $10,000
right.
if I criticize it. That's why I was joking.
Right, but I'm not. But you know what? I'm going to speak. Nate Bukaty is. He's not here. But I'll vouch for him. He'll put in $5,000 if there's anything you want to say. He may, you know what? He might even go $10,000. He's making that MLS money now, Coach. And so, but you said something that I just want to hit on, not the specific call, but you look. The philosophy is not to throw as many flags, and they want to make sure that when they throw the flag, that they believe in what they called. And so what made him unsure? That was your point. That's a good point.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I'm pretty animated on the sidelines. I've been told. Yeah, I am. I have been. And it's because it's not always the call. It's hopefully the next one could maybe get our way or do whatever. And then, of course, there are certain times after certain games you call into your conference office or your supervisor of officials, and we all ask sometimes for explanations. We can send in calls for review, okay? And we send in calls from the Lindenwood game as well and things like that. Well, a lot of times when you're still and just again to clarify, I usually wait 48 to almost 72 hours at times after games because you take the emotion back out of it and things like that before you really want to keep going. And if you feel really strong about it, you can go. But many times the response I get is, and some of this makes very clear sense, is it's about flow of game and the time and things like that, because I can tie it into our opponent here. You may remember last year's bowl game, we had 16 penalties alone. We did. That game had no flow. Everything was being called, and that's almost unwatchable. So when you ask them those questions, they'll say the philosophy is they're going to try not to call penalties. So when you call it, make sure you are sure of it, and then you go with the call. And that was my whole point. If that was it, why was there another conversation and then picked up? And the explanation I received was after he threw it, he changed his mind, not the other official. Well, that's not the philosophy in which I get told to me, and that's my challenge. So, okay, didn't go our way, obviously, and that was a pretty important call. But nothing's going to change from here.
Right. And last thing I'll ask you about the Illinois game, then we'll move on to UNLV, because, again, watching your press conference, I thought you made a really good point that I want to pass along to people, because I do like talking football, and sometimes we watch things, we don't get the full understanding of it. And you mentioned just maybe from a novice eye or fan perspective, there'll be questions like, why didn't Kansas run the football in this situation, right? But you talked about how, a lot of what you do is RPO related based on certain looks. And I thought you gave a really good explanation of that the situation early in the fourth quarter when there's a 7-yard run, so it's 2nd and 3. The next call is an RPO, but then on that third down, the center thought that one of the defensive linemen flinched, and you're looking to snap it and take a shot deep, and you mentioned that we saw Aaron Rodgers. They mentioned this on the broadcast last night. He's made a living doing that. We watch Patrick Mahomes do that all the time, and that's what happened on that third down. So sometimes it's deeper than just, why didn't you run the ball? Why did you throw the ball? And so maybe if you want to elaborate on that, because I thought that was a really interesting explanation.
Yeah, I mean, to the novice eye, like you say, or the the fanatic, right? We're emotional. At first, I was the same way but boom, where it was, because sometimes my advantage point, I've tried to move a little bit differently this year and be behind the ball a little bit more instead of right at the line of scrimmage, and let our coaches have, because we have more people involved now with the new rules. So I've tried to move down a little bit. So, and again, that's what we thought. We thought we could take the shot because we had the free play. Now, from a coaching standpoint, there are things, and again, to be because this isn't like blaming a player or the players. This is coaching. This is things we have to do. And sometimes if you run the ball pretty decent, you can put a lock call on it, meaning that it's an automatic give and do some things. But the RPOs and really what has made our offense be what it is, 2nd and 3 is a really good play-action pass down. It always has been. So let's make sure we keep playing with the mindsets we've been about. But when things don't work or a series doesn't work, then again, you get criticized. And to me, it's not the third down call or the second down call. It's how the two played out together. And we're all frustrated by it and things. So, but we'll be better for it and learn from it. Unfortunately, this one was a hard lesson.
Lance Leipold is our guest. Coach, in your press conference, you mentioned that maybe you felt like a couple of players were pressing. And I'm curious, when you have a player that you think is pressing or putting too much pressure on themselves, how do you handle it?
Well, I try to grab them, talk to them alone, tell them to relax. I mean, you see people that sometimes want it so bad, and maybe for various reasons, and I just see guys kind of not themselves in body language, and it's not negative body language of, I need the ball more. Why is it? It's more like it's an anxiousness, I guess, and I kind of equated that into pressing, and it can happen, and what happens is, sometimes it could be an upperclassman, it could be an experienced player that, receives some notoriety or has expectations, and they're pressing to try to fulfill their role to help the team, and do that, and instead of just trying to keep playing as hard and as best they can within how the game flows, and that's difficult for young guys, and it's better than trying to get them to play harder. I promise you that. So we're working through that, and I think again this will start flowing better for us as we move forward.
And you've been adamant in telling members of the media, when I've heard you talk, you've talked to us on this show about this long season. Don't get ahead of yourself. You want to live in the moment. And you also mentioned that you want your players' approach to be consistent, to be as intentional on Mondays as you are on Thursdays, because there's a lot of players that want to be pros, and that's how you become a professional, right? You give that same consistent effort. And look, for Kansas, there are a lot of expectations. I mean, the expectations now, before you got there for a decade or so, there were no expectations. So it is different because you get other teams' best shot. Can you maybe elaborate on that, the mindset you're trying to build within your program?
Well, as you're asking the question, and I appreciate this may be one of our best ones, Stephen. I really appreciate it. Well, as you were talking, first of all, I said, if you had Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid on this morning instead of Lance Leipold, I would, I think you'd be probably a little more geeked up than talking to me. And at the same time, I would, but to be yourself and be the professional, you would prepare the same way for the interview. And that's what we try to get our guys to do each and every day. whether it be Monday or it's Thursday. And also, as you're talking, I can vividly remember standing in front of our players when we were around a 2-10 team, might have been 1-7 at the time before we even played Texas or anything. And I told them, based on certain things, we will not change the approach based on winning or losing and how we go about our weekly process of being successful. There's not a winning and a losing practice model. There's a practice model for success each and every day. And that will not change. And I said, because when we become the winning program, this is still going to be the weekly way we do it. And it has been. And to continue to remind them of the process, just like we have to in life, we have to make sure that we're excelling through that during a long season if we want to be successful.
Those are lessons that apply not just to football, but to, like you said, but to life. And so I'm hopefully applies to my producer. Maybe he's Jake. Are you listening to Coach right now? This is important for you. So now, as we talked about this, you look ahead. It's a Friday night game, and so you have the challenges of the short week. You know, Chris Kleiman texted you, and because he could commiserate, you guys are going through the same thing, getting ready for a Friday game. Maybe how tough is it to find the balance between getting the team prepared, but also make sure that they're rested? I know your time in the MAC helped you prepare for this as well, but this is a challenge.
Yeah, and it's physical, it's mental, it's from coaching staff and support staff. That, I mean, when you roll back into Lawrence, you know, after 1:30 a.m., it's now, you know, again, you know, like I saw, like, and I'm going to jump ahead here. You know, we go to West Virginia in you know 2 weeks or 10 days or whatever, and we play the 11 a.m. game. And now Chris has got the game. The K-State's got the game out in Provo, like at 9:30 p.m. Now I don't even know what our next games are, but I mean it's the reverse. It's not just the time and the next time you go. It's what time do you get home, and what time do your kids, how much sleep are they getting, and all the things that kind of go into what the body. Now, we just, in the previous question, talked about our early part of the week. Well, early part of the week can be as much mental as physical because of this travel, and this is the new world of college football between TV and coast-to-coast travel. These are things that are becoming part of the play and everything that you have to look at with your team. All that being said is we had to go Sunday night. We went for about an hour. It was probably more of it wasn't a walkthrough, it wasn't a practice, more of a jog through. We practiced yesterday, and now we go today as if it's more of our what would be day 3 of prep. So there won't be as much banging around, and you worry about that on kickoff. Is that are you going to be as physical and fundamentally sound in some areas? Not that we go live, but you have to kind of look at the balance of what you're doing. So it takes, you know, we have a lot of conversations. We have before the game would actually come at Illinois, and then we talk about how we're coming out of it, whether it be our strength coach, our trainers, and really how our staff feels. And of course, we meet with our leadership group to see to get some feedback from them, and then try to come with the best approach forward.
Coach, we'll wrap it up just with some quick thoughts about UNLV. Just curious, you know, how different this team looks compared to the team you beat in the bowl game. The one thing that stands out to me, and I know you've talked about this, is their new quarterback from Holy Cross. He's a big-time running threat as well. He's run for well over 100 yards so far this year, and so that's an added element that you have to game plan for. But maybe your thoughts on what you're going to be facing on Friday night.
Yeah, a very explosive team. Yeah, you mentioned that. The quarterback changed from Holy Cross. Holy Cross has had really a couple excellent seasons last couple of years. Bob Judge, their head coach, just got the James Madison job. So of course, roster shift. He not only rushed for over 100 yards or whatever, he rushed for 1,200 last year as an FCS quarterback. I think threw for over 1,800. So dual threat. They have an All-American receiver who was a transfer a couple of years ago from Michigan State. They have one of the most explosive kick return units in the country as well. They pride themselves on multiple looks and going fast. And then, you know, Barry Odom's a very successful coach in this area and well respected, and he's got a defense playing very, very well equally. they have a lot of experience. I think about 9 seniors starting on each side of the ball, and they're gonna come into Children's Mercy, and they're gonna be looking for a win, and they feel they should be a top 25 program.
This should be one of the better games of the week, and it's Friday night. You can listen to the game right here on Sports Radio 810 WHP. Coach, we're always excited to have you on the show, and we appreciate your time every Tuesday. Thank you for joining us, and good luck on Friday night.
I appreciate it, Stephen. You have a great week as well. Rock Chalk.
Thank you, Coach. That's Lance Leipold, who joins us every Tuesday. And that's going to be a hell of a game. UNLV is better than they were last year, and it should be a terrific atmosphere. Is Jake Gutierrez going to be there? Who knows? You've mentioned that you might.
I'm thinking about it.
This is a good game.
6 p.m., Children's Mercy.
I know a guy who can get you tickets.
Well, that's what I'm waiting for.
He just hung up. Coach, get Jake into the game, will you? Would you go to the game if you had to stand where that girl did that got knocked silly?
I would. Yeah, for sure.
Would you? But there's no way you'd get up as quick as she did.
I don't think I'd go down. That's the thing.
If you got hit that hard and went down, you would not get up as quick as she did.
I wouldn't go down, though.
Yeah.
I think Kai Shaw would bounce right off.
Why isn't Coach still on the line so I can ask him about that? All right, we'll take a break. Back after this on Sports Radio 810 WHP. Stephen St. John here for my friends at Kansas City Credit Union. And I've told you about Kansas City Credit Union and how I'm a member. And you know what? You could be a member too. Also, my son Richie's a member. And they always do a great job whenever we are in need of something. I've gone to Kansas City Credit Union for home equity loan, personal loan. They're very easy to work with. They treat their members very well. Remember, if you work, worship, or reside in Jackson, Cass, or Clay County, Missouri, you're eligible for membership. So many benefits of becoming a member. You know that they have free, no minimum balance checking, savings account options to meet your financial goals, direct deposit to account for your check or payroll deduction, no annual fee, debit and credit cards. They have auto loans with highly competitive rates. They have home, RV, and motorcycle loans at competitive rates. I'd like to buy an RV at some point in a few years, maybe. If I do, I'll go to Kansas City Credit Union. And they have a mobile app available for iPhone and Android, and all free 24/7 online banking, online bill pay, and e-statements, and remote check deposit. Visit kansascitycreditunion.com/810sports for more information. That's kansascitycreditunion.com/810sports. And when you talk to somebody at Kansas City Credit Union, tell them SSJ sent you.